Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about a historical, mythological, and mythical perfume by Chanel, the House of Chanel. It's a classic. It's a classic. It's a classic. It's a timeless classic. It's Gardenia. Gardenia by Chanel. And what to say about one of the most historic perfumes of Chanel? Let's begin with a couple of details. So, 1925, the year of production, considered to be one of Ernest Beau's masterpieces. Ernest Beau is also the nose behind number 5, Cuir de Russie, number 22, Bois des Îles, as well as the first Sycamore, which I've never really smelled, so I don't really know how that one smelled. But anyway, Gardenia was taken off the market, I guess, after the Second World War, and was then reformulated and rebrought back to Chanel boutiques as a Chanel boutique exclusive perfume in the 80s by Karl Lagerfeld's selection, which comprised Bois des Îles, Gardenia, and Cuir de Russie. Number 22 was already in production in the States, but number 22 is considered a boutique exclusive in Europe back in the 80s all the way through to today. Now, it is said that Gardenia was much more heavy back in the day, in the 20s and 30s, because the technology was not that advanced in perfumery. So as far as artificial perfumes or scents or ingredients goes, it wasn't that easy to kind of reproduce them. And as it is known in perfumery, the essence of a gardenia cannot be reproduced synthetically, meaning you cannot extract the extract of a gardenia. Yes, gardenias smell very intensely, and to many in a beautiful way, to many others not in a good way at all, but there are ways of artificially kind of tricking our nose into believing that what we're smelling is kind of gardenia-ish. So all of these artificial ingredients used in the reformulated gardenia in the 80s were more, light than what people were used of smelling from floral perfumes, especially white or green floral perfumes from the 30s, from the 20s and 30s. So it is said that the gardenia from the 80s, the Chanel gardenia from the 80s, was much lighter and more elegant and better than the gardenia from the 20s. I still believe the first is always the best, because that was the intention of the perfumer at that point. If they had those ingredients, that's what they had. They tried to make the best out of what they had. They still opted for that scent. They still produced it the way they produced it, and people loved it. So I would really like it to be, again, made at least in a limited edition or something, the original way it used to be made, considering all the crappy regulations about what is allowed to be used and what is not allowed to be used in perfumery nowadays. Anyway. But again, the gardenia we know from the 80s is not the gardenia we know from 2015, because it is, it has been reformulated again. I have been told that 2014 was the year Chanel reformulated a lot of perfumes, including Coco Mademoiselle. And to be perfectly honest with you, I've been doing some research on my Coco Noir, because the last one I bought at the airport also does not really smell the same way that the first Coco Noir smelled back in 2012 when it was released and when I purchased it. The Eau de Parfum. So I'm a bit shocked at the moment. I'm trying to figure out what is going on. Anyway, let's get to the review of the Gardenia boutique exclusive, or from the Les Exclusive line by Chanel, as of this formulation. The bottle I have is a couple of years old. It's back from 2009 or 10. So I guess if they have reformulated everything once again, then probably Gardenia is going to be different again. So 1925. Okay. I have a love-hate relationship with Gardenia. Before we get to it, this is a 75 milliliter spray. It also exists as a 200 milliliter spray. You have the magnet stopper, the Chanel logo on the outside as well as on the inside. I always try to show that. There it is. You see it hidden there. Gardenia is one of the rare perfume. Actually, it's the only perfume, not even number 5. Well, if you custom order it. I guess they could make a pure perfume of number 5 in all liters if you want them to. But the Gardenia is the only one officially purchasable on the American Chanel website as a pure perfume jumbo bottle, like huge. I don't know if it's a liter or 2 liters for a couple of $1,000s. So they really, you know, especially the Americans, love their Gardenia and love their pure perfume of the Chanel Gardenia. Not so popular in Europe, but extremely popular in the States. In Europe, you can, however, find the pure parfum of the Gardenia in 15 milliliter splash bottles. Gardenia is also available in eau de toilette sample bottles of splash 4 milliliters and 1.5 or 1 milliliter little vial spray samples as well, as of now. Let's get to the scent. Now, as I said, love and hate relationship for me with Gardenia. The beginning opens up pretty well. We got top notes being green notes and orange blossom. I totally smell that. Middle note says Gardenia, and up to which extent they managed to create that Gardenia effect and they list it as a note, I have no clue. But it lists Gardenia in the middle notes. Jasmine as well as tuberose and fruity notes. I get the fruity notes extremely present already now at the beginning. The base notes are coconut, vetiver, musk, patchouli, sandalwood, and vanilla. I get the vanilla. And on me, it smells very green, and it also smells lotiony, almost like a sun lotion of sorts. Also balsamic in a way. Fat and creamy. I guess the coconut, it smells, you know, like if you ever drink coconut juice or if you cook with coconut butter or oils or the water, things taste more creamy and they have that I don't want to say fat thickness, but that kind of texture. That's how this smells in a way. And it bites me, like maybe a perfume from the 80s would bite me. It is somewhat reminiscent of Poison. Now, from Christian Dior. I know they're two completely different perfumes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Gardenia smells like Poison, but it has something in its head notes that bites me the same way Poison would bite me. There's something artificial about it. And it is beautiful in a way, but it's very acidic on my skin. So that acidic, I'm not always ready for that type of acidic. And it's not identifiable. To me personally, it doesn't smell like the Gardenia flower. I have smelled Gardenia flowers and they are very different. What I suppose is the same between a Gardenia flower and the Gardenia perfume is the intention, the attitude. So this one definitely does have the Gardenia flower attitude to it. The way this perfume is balanced out and the way it kind of bites you, it's like the Gardenia flowers. I mean, you know, a lot of people can only keep Gardenia flowers on the balcony or in the garden, not at home, because they are extremely intense. I mean, they almost suffocate you. They also smell very, very, very aggressively if in an enclosed environment where there's no air filtering through, and not many people are used to that. Usually people who have grown up, you know, with gardenias since they were kids, they love it and it kind of calms them and soothes them. But people that haven't grown up with gardenias and all of a sudden have them in an apartment because somebody brought them as a present are definitely going to have to put them out on the balcony at a certain point because they smell too intense. Sometimes even of kind of rotting flesh in a way. Because as we all know, as the body that dies starts to decompose, the first things that are within the body that decompose are the sugars. That's why in history, in art history, in literature history, it is often said that a corpse smells of sweet. It's like sweet decay, the sweet smell of death. I know this sounds really creepy now, and I don't want to go in that creepy direction, but the sweet smell of death is something we also have with the gardenia. In general, every flower, not flowers that are growing and you know, with roots in the soil, but cut flowers that we have at our home, especially lilies, after a couple of days as they start, you know, dying and fading, we have that intense, sweet, corpsey smell, which is gross in a way, but you get used to it. So this has that sweetness which, losing light here, which makes gardenia extremely poetic, because as we all know, poetry is always a combination between life, death, and that's that thin line that marks the path between life and death. The poetry of gardenia lies within that path, within that thin line marking life and death. The sweetness of it reminds me almost of, Death in Venice, in a way. Visconti made the movie. If anybody wants to check out the movie, if you haven't read the book, that's kind of that intense smell of sweet decay. And then there's a clean aspect of it as well. Of course, the buttery coconut note and the vanilla is there as well. I don't like vanilla in perfumes, so it's strange. I really, as I said in other reviews as well as other comments to other fellow reviewers out there that do review perfumes, I really always want to love gardenia, and in fact I have it, and I did use quite a bit of it. Well, it took me a couple of years to do so. But I can't like fall in love with it. I already fell in love with the idea of it, with the concept of it, with the poetry of it, but just the way it reacts to my chemistry and my skin. It's okay in the beginning, the first couple of minutes or half an hour, 40 minutes, and then it kind of shifts into something annoying and pissy on my skin. However, I have to say that since this bottle has, been opened a couple of years ago already, so it probably is 5 years old at least, it's concentrating itself. It's not that fresh anymore. So I'm liking it more now because it's as if, the eau de toilette is turning into an eau de parfum. It's getting more focused, concentrated, dried out, heavy. And that's something in general that I like from floral perfumes. I like the heaviness. That's why at the beginning of the review I said I would really, really appreciate to smell gardenia from the 20s. The 1925 version of gardenia. I think it would match my skin or my chemistry much better because it would have more that heft, that weight. Maybe even powdery weight. I love powdery perfumes. So to me, number 5, I would just make pure powder out of it. Like the powdery side of number 5, you could check out my number 5 review of Chanel number 5 as well. That powdery side of Chanel number 5 is bliss. And I do believe, or I hope, that the first version of gardenia from 1925 had more of that powder going on in it. And I could imagine the liquid not being so clear and almost transparent, but more ready, or due to all the chemicals inside, and also due to the fact that the chemicals were kind of limited back in the day. Yes, they already had their aldehydes, but they use a lot of natural ingredients to recreate certain scents. So according to the flowers that they picked, according to all the essences and all the oils that they use from year to year, things would be different. The color of the perfumes would also change and vary, which is beautiful. I still have an old bottle of the Chanel Pour Monsieur, where literally you open the box, and inside the box is a little paper that says, "Compliments on your purchase by Chanel. Please note that this fragrance might change color throughout, your use of it, or from bottle to bottle. As you purchase another bottle, the color might be slightly different. That's because the flowers vary. The intensity of the flowers from season to season vary." That was so beautiful to have that explanation, that text. Chanel doesn't do that anymore, obviously, and Pour Monsieur is just a mere shadow of what it used to be of its own self from the 50s. Pour Monsieur was the only perfume Chanel made for men during her lifetime, but I'll get to that review sometime soon as well. Back to gardenia, I think that the original color liquid of this little perfume, of this little juice, was different in the 20s than it is now. However, as I said before, I'm keeping this baby, I'm letting it, like a good wine, I'm letting it get old with quality and intensity, so that the more time passes, the more I'm hoping intense it gets and heavy it gets. And with that heft cometh my love for gardenia. It's balsamic, buttery, still clean. It's not turning acidic on me just yet. Maybe because today's a strange day. It's a warm day, but it's a cloudy day as well. There's enough humidity in the air to not allow this baby to evaporate too quickly. But it kind of rather the humidity nourishes it and lets it kind of linger on, which is definitely something I prefer. I don't like to use gardenia in like gleaming sunlight, steamy hot weather outside. I like it when it's a bit more humid outside, when you can feel or smell the soil. I kind of wish, you know, fresh cut grass and earth scents or smells combined with this perfume. I wish that for me when I wear gardenia, because then it kind of, the earthy tones, the earthy smells accentuated in a positive way on my skin and to my nose. However, again, I love the poetry of it. I might have to wait a couple of years. Maybe I'm going to wait for this little baby to mature more, and I'll revisit it definitely over and over again. I do use it from time to time if I'm in the right state of mind, and it's a particular state of mind. I have to be nostalgic in a way. There has to be some sort of nostalgia going on, some sort of desire for time long gone, or some, you know, after reading some poetry or something, or watching a movie that really moves me, having that kind of notion of being aware that our time on this world is limited and we have to make the best of it, and kind of that beauty of acknowledging the fact that everything is limited within time, that our lives are only to be spent and enjoyed for a limited amount of time on this earth before we move on and pass away. That poetry is beautiful, and it's also one-to-one mathematically relatable to a perfume, because using perfumes to me is like enjoying life in the most concentrated of ways, because as you spray the perfume, that's the birth. Then you have the head notes, and you get the heart note, base notes, and then the perfume disappears and fades away and dies. So you have kind of lived a whole relationship with that one spray of perfume that you use that day, or those couple of hours before you refresh it. And it's kind of experiencing life, you know, birth, life, and all that comes with it, all the energies, memories, amazing experiences you witness, and the smell kind of follows you and accompanies you throughout these experiences till it lingers away and slowly fades out, and that's the end of that perfume. That's kind of the death of it. So the beauty and the elegance and the poetry of perfumes in relationship to life and death, and the poetry of us fading away and disappearing after a certain time, it's scary. Of course it's scary, and of course we're afraid of passing away. We always have this vision, and kind of we tend to think that we're going to live forever, and we're spoiled that way. We tend to forget that we're here only for a limited amount of time. Perfumes, believe it or not, remind me a lot of that limitation in time, and the beauty of the smell of perfumes combined with our skin and hormones and chemistry reminds me of the beauty and the elegance of enjoying the consciousness, the knowledge of the fact that it is limited in time, that our presence here is limited in time. So that poetry that perfumes bring with itself is worth a lot to me. And that's another one of the reasons, and I've said it in many other reviews before on perfumes, I believe perfumes should not be luxury goods. They should be prescribed to us by doctors and physicians, and given to us almost for free, because they make your life better. It's not about luxury, and I think it's a wrong way of seeing perfumes as luxury goods that are not accessible to everybody, because it shouldn't be that way. Because perfumes definitely help you go through life, go through different experiences in life, moods in life, and yes, they also help you through their poetry of a short kind of example of what birth, life, and death mean. Through their poetry, they do help you acknowledge and accept the fact that our time on this lovely blue planet is indeed limited. So enjoy it while it lasts, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this review. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Coco and Super Dacob say goodbye to you. Thank you so much for watching. Love you.